Alright guys, how's it going? You've probably not seen me for a while, and by a while I mean 3 months. Been quite busy. I do still want to keep the channel going. I still really enjoy sort of talking about this stuff, so I am going to be coming back and making a few more things. Whether people see it or not, well, remains to be seen. But anyways, if you clicked on the video, we're going to take a look at the SNES Classic Mini. I've been wanting to do this one for a while, and yeah, just going to get cracking on it. And really, there's probably nothing I can tell you that you don't already know. It's the second console from Nintendo. When they blazed the trail with the NES Classic Mini, that flew off the shelves like hotcakes. And for a company with so much IP as Nintendo, they've got a huge commodity and a huge history to draw from. So why not cash in on that nostalgia? They're a business at the end of the day. I can understand that, things aside. But yeah, that is essentially what they did. And they've been, it's part of their business model, and nostalgia. So what we're going to have a quick look at the console. We'll also have a look at the games and things like that. And there's a couple of ones you probably may or may not be aware that are on there, such as Earthbound and Star Fox 2, things like that. The games that were, one of them extremely rare, one of them wasn't even released, so it's quite cool that they're on here. Again, none of this is probably new to you. So I'm going to keep this video short, sharp and sweet, tell you what you need to know, look at the hardware itself, and also going to have a look at the prices if you are interested in getting one, or at least where I would get, if I was going to get a SNES Classic Mini now, where I'd go so I don't have my pants pulled down over the price. Because no one likes that, do they? Let's have a quick look at the hardware now, a couple of the minutiae bits about it, and get you everything you need to know and get you on your way. Okay, cool, let's do it. Okay, so here we are guys, just a nice quick easy intro to it. Essentially, yeah, so you get 20 pre-installed games, 2 controllers. They are a little bit short. Before we look at the back, again, you're going to see you're not going to get an AC adapter included, which I think is a bit cheap, but I think they've done it just to keep the price down. But yeah, not overly great on that. But other than that, everything else is in the box in terms of cables. 1 HDMI, 1 USB-C micro, and obviously the unit itself and 2 controllers. Just give you a second to have a look at the games that are on the back. Just a quick intro on all of them. And pretty much that's most of the games. There are a couple of others listed, but yeah, pretty cool. I've just lost light, so that's super. So there we are guys, just a quick look at the box. There's nothing really more, I can really show you there. Interesting one is the Star Fox 2 that I've already mentioned. It's quite cool. We'll have a look at that when I actually do the capture footage for it. So yeah, looking at the console itself now, you can see it is basically just the size of, your hand. A lot smaller than the original console. And flip onto the controller, it is essentially a complete and utter sort of, duplicate of the original SNES controllers. Buttons feel nice and responsive. Again, just like a brand new SNES controller would. I think there's slightly different technology in them, but yeah, they feel nice and they have the same feeling. Yeah, they just feel, like SNES controllers really. Look at the unit again itself. It's nice and tactile switching. Flap doesn't work, eject doesn't work, obviously it's molded. It's just purely just for looks really, but I think it looks really nice. On the back, you've got your HDMI and USB-C micro, nice and easy. It's just a nice looking console really. Probably the more important bit is actually where do you plug in your controllers, because obviously these work on the Wii connectivity system, which is basically these sort of connectors here. And you may be thinking, where do I put it? It's got a little flap on the front. Just put that up, push that down, and then yeah, you're good to go. And then as we plug in, nice and easy, pinch to pull out. And it's quite nice, I think. And there's an interesting point about this, and I'll talk a little bit more about it when we come to it, and what this actually does mean in terms of, sort of save states in the console. We won't labour on too much about that. It's a nice looking unit. I think it looks really smart. 2 controllers. The only downside is they are quite short. I think they're 1.5 meters. So I'd suggest probably getting an extension cable. You can pick these up nice and cheap, but it just gives you that extra bit of distance, makes life easier. But yeah, that'd be me. But you do you. So there we are. That's the unit itself. Nice, easy, goes back. I think it looks really smart, compact. Yeah, I mean, really, what more could you want? It's to capture that nostalgia in it, and I think it does that really well. So we'll plug it in now, have a quick look at the games. I'm not going to do them all, but yeah, let's have a quick look. Cool. So pretty much, guys, this is the first thing that you're going to see when you boot up your SNES Classic Mini. Already you can see that I have probably one of the more interesting things that you can do. It's nice and easy, and even that, it looks like it's one of the Super Nintendo cartridges. is you can save any game at any place, and it's called a save state. Teaching a lot of people to suck eggs there. And yeah, so playing a difficult game, much like Contra 3, which we'll have a look at in a little bit, but essentially means that you can probably get through 16-bit games that possibly maybe gave you a hard time when you were younger a lot easier, because you can just pick up where you left off, you know, if you die at a particular point. So upon looking, they're all nicely laid out in this sort of carousel, and you can see you've got some heavy hitters on here. Star Fox 2 is the one I mentioned in the intro, where if you go, you can actually play it, but it's quite cool. They gamify it a little bit, so you actually have to clear a stage in Star Fox. You only have to beat the first level, it's really doable, and then it unlocks Star Fox 2, so it kind of gamifies it a little bit. And it's even got the Nintendo seal of quality, look at that. Now, using Contra 3 as a pretty good example, games from the 16-bit era were notoriously difficult, and they were. That's because many of them were trying to ape the arcades. In the arcades, the idea was to have a really difficult game, but was still really good to play, so you pump more money in, and the harder the game, the more money you'd have to pump in to get further in the game, so it sort of makes sense. So yeah, they just made hard games, and Contra 3 it's not one of the hardest games ever made, but it's difficult, you know. If you're not really on the ball, or quite skilled, you're going to know about it. And I don't think you can realistically run. Now, the controllers are nice and responsive, so it does help. But you're going to notice I'm not going to be able to talk that much, especially if I'm actually going to try and play to do actually quite well. But it's fair. I think the hit detection in Contra 3, from what I'm noticing, is actually quite fair. Now, it was my fault there. I just made the wrong choice. There's nothing wrong in a hard game if it's fair. But you see what I mean? This really does show off the 16-bit graphics really well. And I think it's actually still really fun to play, to be honest. And I mean, it gives you a tank, so you can't really argue too much. And that would be a good one. You can think, oh, this bit's really difficult. Again, this is where a shortcut on the game would have been really useful, because you could come to a really difficult part. Now, right now, if it was really difficult, I'd have to reach over and hit the reset on the console, which is great. It's more, I'd say it's more if you're just going to save the game and you're going to carry on later. In this instance, really, this kind of does prove that was where Nintendo were thinking about it with the save states, rather than giving you a shortcut on the controller. But as I'm flicking through, you can see Street Fighter, Castlevania, Super Ghouls and Ghosts. You know, I'm not going to list every single one of these, because you can just as easily find out every single game on here as I flick through and talk about them. But you got some heavy hitters on it, you know. And as you see down, it'll tell you if it's one player or if it's two player. What its save states. You can see Donkey Kong Country. I've already, you know, brought up the save states, so you hit down and you can got all your save states there. It's pretty cool, nice and easy. If we go up, we can have a look at display, and also you've got your backgrounds as well. So I'm going to pick a decent one. I quite like retro TVs, that could be quite good. Yeah, we'll go with that. I mean, it would have been nice to have a few more. They seem quite basic. I think on the Super Game Boy, you could have, well, you had loads, didn't you, really, in terms of the frames and the things you had around your game. But, you know, it would have been nice to have a few more there. If we go across to options, it's nothing really that interesting. Reset to factory settings, yeah, it goes without saying, and loads of demos. And when this was released, I think plasma screens or certain type of LCD screens still did suffer with burning. I don't think it's really much of an issue now, so you don't have to really worry about this one. And like demos, do you need to, like, if you want it playing, you can turn that off. The only thing is the manuals, yeah, it has got manuals on there, so if you want to see them, you can get it, but it's a bit of a ball ache in it trying to do it like that. There's not a huge amount else to really tell you. I'll go through some of the games. I'm not going to do every one, because you could just as easily go onto, you know, whatever site, check things that you want to check. But I'll show you the different filters, just in case you want to have a look. What better game to do it than Super Ghouls and Ghosts, a game that I, for some reason, keep coming back to, but it always absolutely hands my rear end back to me when I do. But it's a sign of a good game that you're kind of okay with it. So here we go, looking at Pixel Perfect. The emulation is actually pretty good. Pretty much is Pixel Perfect, and any points in the game that do suffer with slowdown, which like in a second, you'll notice that the game will also do the same. So it's kind of interesting that it will have that same idiosyncrasies, but you probably hear me hitting the controller. The buttons are a little bit more responsive on this one. Oh yeah, oh, I like that, is it? Yeah, So having a look at there now, if I hit the reset button on the console, it takes me back out and it actually saves where I was. So I can hit down and now I can just save that wherever I want. What I will do is I'll go back and I'll jump to a save and I'll rewind to that. So now this is where I was playing again. And if I want to start, I've now loaded it and I'm back in. So not only do you actually have the ability to load old games and a little bit back from them as well. So it's giving you a lot of freedom, you know. And I've got lucky. I got really lucky there. I don't know how I managed to do that. Now if I hit the reset button again, it will take me back. And I can also save that suspend point, but I've already actually got it. What we will do is we'll have a quick look on the display and put the CRT filter on. Now you can have a look and see what that actually looks like. And now you see the CRT filter. Hit start, and now I've started it again. It does seem like it's a little bit smoother, because we know when these games came out, they were designed for CRT, weren't they? So is it sort of fair to say that? That's the only thing of hitting that one is you can't actually... Oof. And there's the slowdown. So that's what I actually wanted to show with the emulation. It's quite accurate. So it will have slowdown in the same places as, you know, legitimate hardware. It is legitimate hardware, but original hardware, if you know what I mean. So yeah, so that's pretty cool. That's the CRT scan. There's no real need. And weirdly, I've not actually... So as an accident, I wasn't actually trying to do this, but with the old TV background, that does really make it seem like it adds to the effect, doesn't it? Or is that just me, you know? What we'll do is we'll see the last one, just so you can have a quick look. I want to keep this video as short as possible. So we're now 4:3. It's not a massive discernible difference, to be honest, but it is just as crisp. I did mention it before, this is playing in 720p at 60 frames a second, so more than enough, you know, more than clear enough. You don't need sort of 4K or... You know, it's just overkill. For these old games, it's overkill. But yeah, let's have a look at some other games anyways. So every time you want to go back, you just hit the reset button, puts you back into this interface. Yeah, it's a bit of a shame there's not a shortcut on the controller to be able to do that yourself. So let's have a look at Mega Man X. I'm not going to review every game. If you want to really deep dive on any games, I'd recommend looking at GameSack. But there is something about 16-bit graphics from this era. Limitation does breed innovation sometimes, and because they were limited by the graphics they could put on, what you get is just a nice art style. You know, it does just look nice, and the thing is, it's going to look timeless. Much like special effects in films from all the times, if they look good then, they're probably going to still look quite good now. The point I want to get across is it still looks nice and they're still fun to play. I don't think you'll go wrong. You know, enjoy. If you've got this set up and you want to dig into it, you've got two controllers, and I think you're going to have a good time. Now, there is something interesting that I just want to quickly go over. So you'll notice that I've been saying about the reset button, and you may remember back to when I showed you the actual console that the controller ports are exactly the same as using the Wii. Now, the Wii controller had a, very similar sort of like, it was basically made for the virtual console. So it's kind of like this hybrid SNES Wii, twin stick sort of controller, but basically it could be used for sort of anything. I don't think it was a really bad controller. The key point is that you can't really get back. Say if you're in a difficult part of the game, you've got to get up, hit that reset button before you actually die or think you're going to die, which is usually milliseconds away. You're not going to have that time. So that's why I think Nintendo definitely made it so you could just save somewhere and come back to it. The weird thing is that Nintendo didn't include a shortcut, as far as I know, I could be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, that'll actually get you back to the home screen without hitting the reset button. The other thing you can do is if you actually have one of the Wii Virtual Console controllers, the official home controller, you have to forgive me, I forget the name, it actually has a home button, and if you do hit that, because the controllers are compatible, it will take you back. So if you do want that functionality, it might be worth picking them up, and we could probably get those quite cheap. We can have a little look when we do the price of the console as well. But yeah, I thought that was an important note to make. It still looks really nice. It's still great to play. So let's have a look at the price, and we'll call it a day. I'm a poet, and I didn't even know I was rhyming those words.
Okay, so let's just tie this video off in a nice neat bun. I said I'd have a look at the prices or the sort of going rate, and as you can see here, I mean, I paid £70 for mine back in 2019 second hand from CEX. We'll have a quick look at CEX in a minute, but you can see if you're not bothered about a box, eBay is probably the place to go, and you can pick them up at a fair price, to be honest. So yeah, they're second hand, but they haven't gone crazy on price. Yeah, I just want to be clear as well that I'm not getting any money from CEX or any of these companies like eBay trying to sell, you know, or trying to get interest, which is crazy it sounds, but maybe one or two of you might be thinking that that's not the case. Just want to kind of educate on the price. I paid £70 for mine back in 2019 from CEX. You can see it's gone up to £95 now, so it hasn't inflated that much. That's boxed, and you do get a warranty as well, so it's up to you if you want to pay that little bit more, get a warranty. I'd probably suggest it, but then you've got to fight with CX if it does go wrong, and I've not had any dealings with them, so I couldn't really say. But a company like that, I wouldn't like to say really. But if we look now at the Nintendo Wii Official Classic controller, that was the one I was trying to remember, you can actually pick these up fairly cheap, so I would suggest getting this purely for that functionality of having that home button. It saves you getting off the couch or wherever your SNES Classic Mini you decide to place it for its forever home, hitting that reset button, and it does become a lot more useful when you are hitting that point of a really difficult part of the game. You can just hit that home button, bang a quick save in, and then you know you're good to go. I mean, save states are not a big thing, but it's interesting that that functionality wasn't built into the controller, because it's actually very similar controllers, like the Nintendo Switch Online SNES controller has a means to emulate the home button by pressing the R and ZR buttons together on the top, so it's definitely doable. It's strange that they left it out. Nintendo are strange, you know, in some of the decisions they make, but I think they play their cards close to their chest, and sometimes I think they hold back on functionality, so then they can just, when you know the initial wave of interest of a new release passes, and they can just release another one that's slightly different or with the functionality you've been crying for, and they can charge more for it. But you know, yeah, they're a business at the end of the day, but it's a little bit questionable giving consumers what they want when you damn well know that's what they want to begin with. But anyways, that's it guys. Thank you very much for sticking around. If you stick around this far, I tried to keep the video as short as possible. Let us know what you think, and you know, I'm still learning on these videos, so if you've got any like pointers, any things that I'm doing good, any things I'm doing bad, probably doing more bad than good, but hey, it's a learning curve in it. So yeah, let us know. It'd be great to hear, you know, what you think of the video. I'm going to be making a few more, especially these mini consoles. I've got quite a few, and yeah, I'll dig into it. But yeah, I wish you all the best and take it easy.